All right, let's set sail on one of the greatest adventures ever written, Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travels. Now, you might think of it as just a fun fantasy story, but trust me, it is so much more. It's a razor-sharp, hilarious, and honestly, a pretty brutal takedown of humanity itself, all designed to make us look in the mirror and question, well, everything. I mean, really, have you ever just looked around at the world, at the way we do things, and thought to yourself, this is just ridiculous? Well, if you have, you are in very good company. Jonathan Swift felt the exact same way just about 300 years ago. So Swift's world of satire, yeah, this is way more than a children's story. A lot of us probably encountered it as kids. An adventure with giants and tiny people. But its real purpose? It's way more subversive. Swift was using this wild, fantastical journey to hold up a giant, and frankly, a very unflattering mirror to the world he lived in. That mirror still works pretty well in ours too. The secret weapon Swift uses is called satire. And the whole point of satire isn't just to make you laugh. It's to make you laugh at something that's genuinely foolish. And then, in that moment, to make you ask yourself, wait, why is that so foolish? And let me tell you, Swift was an absolute master of this. This book is his masterclass. Okay, let's do it. Let's join Gulliver on his very first voyage to the absolutely bizarre land of Lilliput. This is where the adventure really kicks off, and where Swift's satire starts to get really, really sharp. So picture this. Our hero, a ship's surgeon named Lemuel Gulliver, gets shipwrecked. He washes up on a beach, totally exhausted. When he wakes up, he can't move. Why? Because he's been tied down by hundreds of tiny little ropes. He's been captured by the Lilliputians, an entire civilization of people who are less than 6 inches tall. And to them, he is this terrifying, world-shaking monster. From his gigantic point of view, Gulliver at first finds their little society kind of quaint, almost cute. But it doesn't take him long to realize that even though the people are tiny, their arguments, their ambitions, their political drama, it's all just as huge and intense as anything back home. It just looks a whole lot more ridiculous when you're staring down at it. For instance, you want to get a top government job in Lilliput? Forget your resume. It's all about how good you are at dancing on a tightrope. Seriously, the politicians who can perform the best tricks without falling off get the highest honors. It was Swift's brilliant way of mocking how politicians in his own time would do all sorts of ridiculous things just to get ahead and win favor with the powerful. And it gets even better. Swift takes a jab at the political parties of his day, the Whigs and the Tories, who were always at each other's throats. In Lilliput, the two main parties are the high heels and the low heels. And yes, their entire political identity is based on the height of the heels on their shoes. They absolutely despise each other over it. Sound familiar? So if their domestic politics are that petty, can you even imagine what they'd go to war over? I mean, what kind of issue could possibly drive these tiny nations into a bloody decades-long conflict? You're not going to believe this. The source of their endless war with their neighbor Blefuscu is how to crack a boiled egg. Yep, for generations they've been killing each other over whether the proper way to open an egg is at the big end or the little end. This was Swift's genius way of satirizing the real-life religious wars between Protestant England and Catholic France, reducing these incredibly complex conflicts to something so obviously trivial, it's insane. So, Gulliver, being a giant, wades into the channel between the two countries and steals the entire enemy navy. Just like that, the war's over. He's a national hero. For about 5 minutes. Because when he refuses the Emperor's demand to completely crush the enemy, suddenly he's a traitor. He's sentenced to be blinded, and he has to run for his life. So Gulliver has seen how silly our big problems can look from a different perspective. But now, Swift is going to flip the entire script. Next stop, the land of Brobdingnag. This time, Gulliver isn't the giant. He's the tiny little creature being examined under a microscope. On his very next voyage, Gulliver winds up in a land where everyone and everything is enormous. We're talking 60-foot tall people. And Gulliver? Well, now he's the 6-inch tall oddity. The perspective is completely reversed. He's found by a farmer in a field who literally thinks he's some kind of small, clever animal. His life is completely turned upside down. He's no longer a master of his own destiny. He's basically a pet. He's shown off for money. He's attacked by giant wasps. And he's eventually sold to the queen to live in what is essentially a dollhouse. He's cared for, but he has zero freedom. He's a plaything. But Gulliver, you know, he still has his pride. One day he gets an audience with the king of Brobdingnag, who's this very wise, thoughtful ruler. This is his chance. He decides he's going to explain all about his home country, England, to prove that his people are not just insignificant little pests. And so he launches into it. He talks for hours, just puffing his chest out, describing England's government, its courts, its history, its social classes, and of course all of its glorious wars. He is so proud, and he fully expects this giant king to be just amazed by how advanced and sophisticated European society is. But the king is not impressed. In fact, he's horrified. After listening to all of Gulliver's proud stories, he sees it for what it really is, a chaotic history of greed, hypocrisy, and violence. And then he delivers one of the most brutal lines in all of literature, telling Gulliver he can only conclude that his people are the most pernicious race of little, odious vermin that nature ever suffered to crawl upon the surface of the earth. Ouch. So let's step back for a second and connect the dots here, because this isn't just about two different adventures. Swift is running this incredible thought experiment about perspective, and what that mirror of his really shows us. You see what he's done? It's just genius. In Lilliput, because Gulliver is physically huge, he gets to look down on them and see how petty their big problems are. But in Brobdingnag, when he's the one who's tiny, he's forced to see how corrupt and vile his grand society looks to a truly superior being. By just changing the physical scale,